Hello, dear students. So today again we are moving ahead in this chapter number second, microorganism, friends and foes of class 8 science. So in the previous video I have told you about the different types of microorganisms. So today we will move ahead in the sequence. So if you see all the microorganisms, if you see, have some special conditions to survive. Means there are different types of microorganisms, and the microorganisms are different kinds of microorganisms are surviving in the different conditions. Okay, some microorganisms might be surviving in the cold climate, some might be surviving in the warm climate. Okay, and some microorganisms need or depend on some other organisms because they are just surviving into someone other's body. Like I have told you there, in the case of virus needs some other organisms to survive, to live in. Okay, it needs a host there. Okay, and some microorganisms can survive independently also. Okay, so this is how we have many types of microorganisms and in their surviving conditions. Okay, now microorganism, if you see, these microorganisms could be classified into two categories. Okay, so here I'm writing microorganisms could be classified into two categories of microorganisms. Here I'm writing categories of microorganisms. Okay, so if you see, you could see there are two types or two categories of microorganisms. Some are friendly in nature and some are very harmful also. Some microorganisms are friendly microbes or microorganism, and some are harmful microbes. Okay, so whenever we talk about the microorganisms, what strikes into our mind is diseases. Okay, so we say that yes, microorganisms are harmful. Okay, but this is not the case. Some microorganisms are helpful for us also. They are also called the friendly microorganisms. Okay, so if you see in the category of friendly microorganisms, so here we can see we have a bacteria that is called the lactobacillus bacteria. Okay, so the bacteria which is named as the lactobacillus is found in curd. Okay, this lactobacillus bacteria is found in curd or yogurt that you are eating. Okay, so it gets multiplied. Suppose, let's say you have a bowl of milk here, and if small amount of curd you keep here in this bowl of milk, so in this small amount of curd you have a bacteria that is called the lactobacillus bacteria. Okay, and in this bowl completely which is filled by milk, and later on what happens, this complete bowl of milk turns into curd now. Earlier only small amount of curd you have kept there, and the left was complete bowl was filled of milk. Then later on you can see that the whole bowl is now filled by the curd. How this happens? This happens due to the presence of the lactobacillus bacteria. Which one bacteria? Lactobacillus bacteria, which is found there in the curd. It gets multiplied. It keep on multiplying. Suppose, like, say here you have 5 lactobacillus bacteria. Then again it would become into 10, then 15, then similarly. So as and so on and so forth. So later on the complete bowl would be filled by the curd. So this is the process there. Okay, so we can see lactobacillus bacteria is a friendly microbe. Okay, so here I'm writing curd or yogurt has a bacteria bacteria named as named as lactobacillus, and it gets multiplied. This is the name of bacteria, and it gets multiplied. Visible there? Good. And it gets multiplied when we keep small amount of curd in a bowl of milk. When we keep small amount of curd in a bowl of milk. Okay, so this is the function of the lactobacillus bacteria. Now you have another bacteria that is called the rhizobium bacteria. That is the rhizobium bacteria. So this rhizobium bacterium or rhizobic bacteria is also a friendly bacteria. Where do we find it? You can see the rhizobium bacteria. I have just told you in the previous chapter where we have talked about the crop production and the management. This was the first chapter. There I have told you about this rhizobium bacteria. Now see what happens. Let's see, this is the plant, and this plant needs the nitrogen. But this plant cannot take the nitrogen as it is from the atmosphere. Rather, it needs the nitrogen to be converted into the nitrate and nitrite. So when this nitrogen and nitrite has been converted into nitrite and nitrate, then later on this nitrite and nitrate can be taken by the plants. Now how this nitrogen is being converted into nitrite and nitrate? This is with the help of this rhizobium bacteria. Now see what happens. We have some leguminous plants like this, leguminous plants. So these leguminous plants have some root nodules here. These are the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Okay, so in the root nodules of the leguminous plants, this rhizobium bacteria lives here. It is present here in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Now see what happens. This rhizobium bacteria converts this atmospheric nitrogen into nitrite, converts this atmospheric nitrogen into nitrite and then into nitrate, and then it fixed it into the soil, and then later on from the soil, through with the help of xylem and phloem, this nitrite or nitrate is going into the plants. Are you getting this? So this is how the atmospheric nitrogen reaches into the plants with the help of this rhizobium bacteria. So that is why this rhizobium bacteria helps in the fixation of the nitrogen into the soil. Are you getting this? So we can say yes, rhizobium bacteria are also helpful, or you can say are also the friendly microbes. So here I'm writing about the rhizobium bacteria, about which we have talked already in the previous chapter. Okay, so let me write here about the rhizobium bacteria. The rhizobium bacteria, and I'm writing the rhizobium bacteria that is present in the root nodules of leguminous plants helps in the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, so this is how rhizobium bacteria is also very helpful for us. Now again you can see you have a bacteria that is yeast. This yeast bacteria is also very helpful in the fermentation of, if you are going into the southern India, so there you can see the dishes that are prepared there, that is like idli, dosa. So these all are prepared by the fermentation of the rice. Okay, so how does this fermentation occur? This fermentation occurs with the help of bacteria, that is yeast. Okay, so third one, if you can see here, okay, let me erase this. Here I'm writing about the third one, and these are also the friendly bacteria. So here you can see the yeast also. Yeast. So yeast is also very helpful in the fermentation, helps in the fermentation of rice idli and dosa batter and dosa so this fermentation is only with the help of yeast. Okay, so again, for the production of wine, the yeast is also very helpful while we are producing the wine. You must be knowing wine. Okay, so the wine is what? This is basically the alcohol that we are drinking. Okay, so that alcohol is prepared by the fruit juices. You have grapes, you have these some other fruits there. So the sugar which is present there in the grapes is being fermented into the alcohol by this yeast bacteria, and later on this is being consumed as wine. Okay, which is very harmful if it is consumed in unnecessary. If you are consuming it unnecessarily, then it's harmful also. You might be knowing about this. So the you can see here the process of conversion of sugar. I'm writing here the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol. So this sugar is where? This sugar, you can find this sugar in the fruit juice, in the barley. So there you can find this sugar, and this sugar, when it is in coming in contact with the yeast bacteria, this yeast bacteria is just converting it into the alcohol. So this is called the fermentation. Okay, and this alcohol is being consumed nowadays in unnecessarily also by the youth. Okay, which is very very harmful. Okay, so you can write here the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol is called what do we call it? Is called fermentation. This also might be asked in the examinations. So what is fermentation? Fermentation is the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol, is called fermentation. By what? By the yeast bacteria. So here you can write by yeast. Okay, so this is fermentation all about. Okay, now let me about the harmful bacteria. There you are knowing many diseases, like you have typhoid, like you have malaria, like you have tuberculosis. Okay, so these are many harmful diseases which are caused by the harmful microbes. Okay, so you are already knowing about this, but I have told you about some friendly microorganisms. Okay, now suppose if you are suffering from any microbial disease, or you are suffering from any diseases caused by the bacteria, so what do we need? What do you take at that time? You need some antibiotics. Okay, or antibacterial drugs or antibacterial medicines at that time you are taking. So these are helpful in the these are helpful in stopping the growth of the microorganism, because like suppose any harmful bacteria is entering into your body. Suppose here is the very harmful bacteria, and this bacteria, you are here and this is entering into inside your body. So this keeps multiplying. Suppose one is here, so now it has become many now. Okay, so these are very harmful then. So how to stop the growth of this bacteria? You need to intake some antibiotics, also known as antibacterial drugs, antibacterials. antibacterial. So these antibacterial you need if you are taking them in, so the growth of the micro these harmful bacteria can be stopped. Now the growth can be stopped, so ultimately these bacteria are going to die. So that is why antibiotics we are taking, okay, to stop the growth of the harmful bacteria inside our body. Okay, are you getting this? You have the name of some antibiotics, like you have tetracycline, you have you have streptomycin, you have anthromycin. So these are the name of some antibiotics which you are taking in to stop the growth of the harmful bacteria into our body. Okay, now if you see the person name here who discovered the first antibiotic, the person name is Alexander Fleming. The name of the person is Alexander Fleming. So the Alexander Fleming was the person who discovered the first antibiotic in the year of, I think, don't know the year exactly. So he discovered the first antibiotic. Okay, uh, and the name of the antibiotic was this penicillin. Okay, so penicillin was the first antibiotic drug or medicine which was discovered by Alexander Fleming. Okay, now one thing more, if you are unnecessarily if you are taking the antibiotics, suppose you are having small fever or small means small disease, like, okay, which can be cured without these also, if you are taking in these antibiotics regularly, if you are regularly taking these antibiotics, so unnecessarily if you are taking them, so these antibiotics stop the growth of good microorganisms. So because some good microorganisms are there also in our body, okay, these good microorganisms are helpful for us. So but if you are taking these antibiotics unnecessarily, so these antibiotics stop the growth of these good bacteria. Okay, so that is why antibiotics are harmful also, very harmful also. Okay, so that is why. But one thing more, let me tell you, suppose you have a viral disease caused by virus. Some diseases are caused by bacteria. So if the disease is caused by the bacteria, then at that time you need the antibiotics. But if the disease is caused by the viral, like you have some common cold, like you have some influenza, okay, like polio, etc., like chicken pox, these are the diseases which are caused by the virus. So if you have any viral attack, so at that time you cannot take these antibiotics, because these antibiotics are not going to kill this virus. Okay, so at that time you need some antiviral drug to stop to kill this antiviral drug. So you have to remember this. Okay, so in case of bacterium attack, if there is attack of any bacteria, so at that time you need the antibiotics. But if there is attack of the any viral attack, so then at that time you need antiviral drug. Are you getting this? So hope this is very helpful for you. So let me write this here, because this might be coming there in the examinations. Okay, so write here about the antibiotics. So right there, these are antibacterials used to stop the growth of bacteria. These are antibacterials used to stop the growth of bacteria. Bacteria. Okay, for example, some antibiotics I'm just writing here, like streptomycin. You have streptomycin. Then you have this tetracycline. Then when you have one more antibiotic, that is anthromycin. So these are some antibiotics which you are taking in case of any bacterial attack. Okay, and the first antibiotics that was discovered by Alexander Fleming. and the name of the antibiotic was penicillin. The first antibiotic or antibacterial medicine, antibiotics, was discovered by Alexander Fleming, and the name of antibiotics was penicillin. Okay, so this was the first antibiotics that were discovered by Alexander Fleming. Okay, so I one thing more, let me tell you, these antibiotics are mixing with the food stock or the food stock of the animal. Suppose the animals which are eating something there, so if you are eating some and mixing some antibiotics here, so these antibiotics are also helpful for the animals also. Okay, suppose some microbial infection there in the animals, so if you are mixing these antibiotics in their food material, so it is going to help the animals also. Okay, antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill the beneficial bacteria, that I have already told you. Antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill the beneficial bacteria, may kill the beneficial bacteria. Okay, in the body. Okay, now one thing more I have told you, antibiotics are not effective against the viral attack. Antibiotics are not helpful, are not helpful in case of viral attack, means if the disease is caused by the virus. So in case of viral attack, these antibiotics are not going to help anyway. Okay, so at that time we need what? We need some antiviral drug. So for that we need antiviral drugs. Okay, so this was all for today. Now some important things we would be discussing in the next lecture ahead. Okay, where I would be telling you about the vaccines. Okay, so different important terminologies will be told to you later in the next lecture. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching for the upcoming videos, and do subscribe to our channel. Keep sending the link of our school channel to your friends, to your relatives. Okay, okay, then see you